Hi, Alan Combies here, creator of this video series that I call Morning Coffee with Alan. And in this video, I'd like to talk about procrastination and specifically two aspects, two components, I guess, of procrastination that may help you overcome your procrastination or at least better understand it so that you might experience it less and less in your day-to-day life. So first of all, we take a look at what is procrastination. Procrastination is, well, it's a concept, it's an idea, it's a thought, it's a label that we put on a behavior that looks like not following through with a task or being lazy or slow at completing a task and just sort of putting things off. Now, we all do this, right? We've all been procrastinators at one time or another. But there's two things that I think we can look at that might help us better understand what this is and how we might be able to, just better understand the nature of it. So number one, we tend to, well, let's put it this way. If you are not doing something that you got inspired to do or you were supposed to do or you wanted to do, if you're not doing it, then typically what happens is we get a lot of thinking piled up, right? We start thinking about, oh, well, if I do this, then I'm going to have to do that, and well, it's not going to be very fun if I do this, or oh, what are they going to think if I do that? And we end up filling our heads with a lot of personal thinking. We fill our heads with a lot of what ifs and a lot of mind chatter. And typically, the more we do that, the heavier it gets, and we get the sensation of, oh man, it's like dragging our feet through mud, right? And we confuse that experience with the actual task at hand. So what happens is we get a lot of thinking. We start thinking more and more about stuff, we think related to this task at hand. And that thinking is reflected in our body with, could it be any number of things, pressure, anxiety, fear. And we mistakenly believe that those feelings are telling us about the task at hand. But really those feelings are just telling us about what we're thinking in that moment. The second thing that we're up against, I think, with procrastination is we beat ourselves up for procrastinating. And whether we get the task done or not, we tend to run stories, or at least I've done this. We run stories and we condemn and judge ourselves for procrastinating. And while it may seem like this is a good thing to do, like it makes sense to beat ourselves up for procrastinating, in reality, what you're doing is you're just convoluting, you're making the situation more dense with your thinking, and in fact you are affirming yourself as a procrastinator with all of that negative self-talk, just all of that thinking. And so while it seems like that may be the route to go, it seems like it makes sense to beat yourself up about it, but in reality all you're doing is making things more, sticking things up more, you're making things more gummy, and in fact affirming that this behavior is who you are, but it's not who you are. You're not that behavior. Now, what you can do is begin to recognize that, number one, go easy on yourself. If you notice that you didn't get something done, or if you procrastinated and you were late on something or you didn't finish something at all, rather than beating yourself up, take a step back and look at, okay, what are the actual consequences here? Is there a way to fix this? Was it a do or die situation? Typically, if it is that kind of situation, you're going to find ways to get stuff done, right? Whatever it is you're procrastinating on, you're going to find a way to get it done. Most of the time, it's not a do or die situation. And so you can relax a little bit. You can kind of go easier on yourself. And the interesting thing is, the paradox of this is that as you relax and you go easier on yourself, you feel a bit lighter, and you oftentimes you can be more motivated to take action, or to come up with new solutions, or to find a new way to do things. So that's very important. And the second thing you can do is begin to recognize when you are procrastinating how you feel. And if you're feeling anything but light and joyful, then chances are you've got a lot of stuff on your mind. And it's not that thoughts are good or bad, they just are, right? They just are. But we think there's more to it than that. We give those thoughts and feelings more credit than they deserve. So what I suggest you do in this situation is notice the feelings, notice if those feelings are telling you you've got a lot on your mind, and then get up and take some action, any action. It's likely that the action that you need to take doesn't have a lot of thinking involved. Like, you probably know what you need to do, you probably have the information you need, you just need to get up and take action. So I challenge you to get up and take any action in that direction and just see what happens. You know, I can tell, I just a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting at home, and I was saying to my girlfriend, oh man, I should do this. Oh, I should do, it was over the weekend, and you know, I had a list of things in my head that I wanted to get done. And I said, oh, I should do this. Oh, I should do that. Oh, I should do this. You know, all morning I was doing that. And finally she called me out and she said, well, instead of just shoulding it, why don't you just do it? And in my head, I had this list of things to do, and the list seemed so long that I was telling myself, oh, it's just too much. How am I going to get to it all, right? Well, I heard what she said in that moment, and I snapped out of it, and I did one thing on my list, and that one thing quickly turned into the entire list, and it was done within the hour. And this is typically how things are. We convolute the situation with our thinking. Now, again, the thinking is not bad, it's not good, it just is, but we think there's more to it than that. And so if we wake up to the fact that that is how we're creating our experience, we're always creating our experience with our thinking in any moment, and we have the ability to step from one reality into the next in a millisecond, and that's pretty cool if you ask me. So I hope you enjoyed this video on procrastination. Any comments or questions, please feel free to post, like, and subscribe. And this is Alan Combies in another video called Morning Coffee with Alan. I thank you for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.